And it reminds me of Dumb Money because so basically they were putting all their money into the GameStop thing, right? And the
Yep.
reason why this became big is because um, Wall Street was expecting not Bitcoin, GameStop to fail. Okay, so
Yeah.
if GameStop fails, they make money, right? You're
Yeah.
like
Right. They were,
like
yes,
hedge betting or something, or
shorting.
like
Yeah.
or shorting stock. And basically, what that means is you're betting money that it will fail. So what this guy did was he believed in the opposite,
Hmm.
right? So he invested his money into it, and then with his following, it slowly grew. Other people started believing that it was not devalued, right? So they thought like the people are shorting it because they're like, oh, it's worth more than it is.
Right.
So like, oh, it's worth less than it is.
Hmm.
So I'm betting that it's actually worth less. Whereas these people bet that it was worth more. So they went against the stock market. Okay. And then when they're doing this, they're all putting their money in this thing,
Yep.
right? The real money into this thing
Stock. Yeah.
to make more money, to stock, right? To make more money. And then in that, the people who are shorting the stock were losing billions every day.
Sure.
Okay. So no, this is in the movie. This is what
Yeah.
happened. So like
Right.
they were losing billions every day. So what happened was the owner of the investment firm who was like shorting the stock, he was down like $7 billion, something like that. So his firm had to declare bankruptcy. But what he did was he got his other billionaire friends to buy in. So they each put in money, and then that kept his stock going so that he can keep shorting the stock. So everyone thought like, okay, if you fail, then we'll make all our money back. But they wouldn't allow his firm to fail because he got a bailout. Not a bailout from the government, but bailout from his friends.
Sure.
Right? Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like if I have a business, I'm like, dude, it's going under. Vish, can I borrow some money? It's the exact same thing, right? And then what that really highlighted was you can't really defeat these people. They have so much money and they have the network that it's like, I'm just going to wait for you to lose your money.
Hmm.
And that was their mentality.
Yeah.
That's what these stock people were doing. These ones who were shorting it, they're like, yeah, okay, short it all you want. We're just going to ride out the storm. Because you know why? Because the people, the regular people who made lots and lots of money, right, off of this stock, are not actually, and they said this in the movie, and it's just like Bitcoin. You're not actually rich until you sell that.
Yeah.
So on paper, they're like, oh, like in the movie, like the main person, like, babe, we're rich, we're like multimillionaires, and then the guy was like, not really, not until I sell it.
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, that's like all things. So eventually, once you sell it, it's going to devalue itself, and then the billionaires are going to make their money back.
Yeah.
Because like, okay, so it's losing price like we expected. You know what I'm saying? And what I was realizing is like we're all playing this game. People who invest, right? Like Bitcoin. Like if you look at the old podcast, it's a good money maker because you can get people to buy in, but then you have to sell it.
Right.
You can't pay for your rent in Bitcoin. You can't pay for groceries in Bitcoin. You need to sell the Bitcoin to make real money and then like buy these things, which is what makes it fundamentally flawed. But the idealists are like, oh, Bitcoin's going to take over. It's going to change the government. It's going to, change the world. It's like, no, it's not, because that's not real money,
Hmm.
And that's what the movie really showed me. It's like COVID. We had no idea what was going on. We just all heard, hey, Bitcoin's making a lot of money.
Just following
let's
the
put our money in
herd.
there.
Yeah, it's just following the herd,
Right.
and it's
And
like,
it was like herd mentality.
nothing else to do, really. So that's what was going on
Yeah.
at the time. What was that?
Yeah,
Was
totally.
that involved with Robin Hood, or Robin Hood was something different?
Yeah, okay. They put him in the movie. It was crazy. This is another one. So not only the bailouts, bro. So when they hit this was insane that they put this in the movie. And it's like, well, that's how the game works. So they were losing billions and billions every day, right? Quite literally, like B with a billion. And so Robinhood was one of the main apps that people were using to buy
Yeah.
GameStop. Okay. So what these big organizations did was they charged 3 billion, billion with a B, to Robinhood. Okay. Robinhood's like, bro, we can't pay this off. Because they're like, oh, there's like a buyer fee or something. Like they're like,
Yes.
you owe us X amount of money. Okay. So they're like, you owe us 3 billion with a B dollars. Okay. Robinhood started freaking out. And then they said, he's like, how can I get out of this? They're like, okay, if you disallow buying on your app for GameStop, we'll reduce it from 3 billion with a B to $700 million. So he took the deal and then he disabled buying on the app. And that was a whole part of the scene where they're just like, dude, I can't buy. I can't buy.
Hmm.
Right? So if you're working against this machine, what are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's rigged. Like, these people will not let that happen again.
Right.
Right? They like realized what was going on. And that was like a trip because who has the power now? You know?
Hmm.
Is it us? Can we really make a difference? They just disabled the buying button.
Right. Well,
Mhm.
I wonder how much is what was true and stuff like that too, because I know that there was. I remember at the time, but I don't remember the full story. We probably talked about it too at the time too, about Robinhood and what was
Yeah.
causing the thing too, because there was a lot of discussion about it. So I wonder. I don't remember. I have to recall to go back to
Mm.
like how much of these things are, of course, in a movie, right? Like there is things to embellish for the story, but some things probably are true too, right? So that's one thing
Yeah.
that we got to
Well,
remember.
I think the events are true though. I think like how it led up might be like kind of iffy, but um they did disable, well, I mean, theoretically I don't remember that far back, but it was a pivotal point in the movie. If they straight up lied about disabling the buying button, it's like this movie's totally fake. You
No,
know?
no, that's not fake. But the reasoning behind it. What was the reasoning
Oh yeah,
behind it and stuff
yeah,
like that,
totally, totally.
right?
But they alleged to this deal, right? And then what was crazy too is like they
Because there was like I know like see this is how it works in America, but like there are some apps like when you're buying, you're putting in a certain money. It's like how like, if you can right away transact buying stock without actually sending money yet. Like
oh yeah,
is
yeah.
that the delay that they
Is
don't
that the
have the three
is that the
billion?
call? Oh, maybe that's what it was because everyone started calling, so they didn't have money, so they used this call function.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
that's what you're
I
talking
think
about.
maybe that's what it was. I don't remember exactly, but it was like they're buying the stock, but they don't have the money to buy the stock.
That makes sense because there was a scene there where this like one of these people was buying more stock, and she's like, you don't have the money for this, and he's like, no, I'm just calling it. I'm using the call function or something. Maybe
Hmm.
that's what you're talking about. It's like you're borrowing the money without
Actually, having the money yet.
having the money. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And maybe that's why it reached like $3 billion.
Hmm. Probably.
And then he had to play ball. The other crazy part that they showed in the movie was they shut down the Reddit page for hateful speech, but
Oh
nothing
yeah.
had changed. But the Reddit page was how they were finding out from the guy what was the next move because everyone would only sell if this guy was going to sell,
Right.
right? So
Okay.
they were waiting to see what he was doing, but they were using the Reddit page to like talk to each
Yeah, yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah.
So the Reddit shut down the page, but it seemed like a coordinated attack to make them less communicative to one another,
Hmm.
which is trippy. And then you're like, bro, what's going on? Like, who we think that this world is, this ties in the UFO thing. It's like we think that this world is fair, but it's rigged. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist for saying that. Like, it is. We've seen it so many times. It's like the big players will get their way. COVID shots. I don't want to get the COVID shot. You can't travel unless you get the COVID shot. All right, you're twisting my arm. It's like they won't make you do it overtly because that's illegal, but they'll twist your arm. You owe us $3 billion. Oh, we'll reduce it to 700 if you disable the call function or the buy function. Yeah,
Hmm.
which he did, and then it couldn't go any lower. But okay, so the moral of the story of the final thing was um, that because you kind of thought like, okay, you can't beat these businesses. You can't straight up. But what they did was a lot of them just sold half of what they had. So the main guy, he became a multimillionaire. he's still holding on.
Okay.
And there are certain people that didn't sell, they're still holding on. And the moral of this story, allegedly, is that hedge funds are more reluctant to short stocks now because they're like, this could happen again.
There you go.
But,
Mhm.
right, theoretically, but if we look at like the becoming rich, how did they become rich? They sold their stock.
Right.
You need, like, this is all fake money until it becomes real money. Investing.
Yeah.
Bitcoin, fake money until it becomes real money. GameStop stocks, fake money until it becomes real money.
But it has to grow, right? That's the only way to make the money back, or make gains.
The stock.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But through his efforts, it was growing because people were just buying.
So
in
did
because they're
they
like, "Hold the line."
did they show like what was happening at GameStop? What were they thinking?
They didn't show what was happening at GameStop, but they had people working at GameStop who were buying into the app too. And there's nothing like
Like, I wonder what the
bad about
company
that.
was thinking. Like, what were they going through?
They're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, but you know what's crazy though? It's like GameStop's still around. Like I buy
Yeah,
anime
yeah.
figures from GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
It bought out EB Games, right? EB Games no
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
It's GameStop now. And like,
So maybe
is
they
this
got the
because
money.
of
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but maybe.
yeah, wild. Yeah, I'm like, yeah. The other thing in the movie that was very obvious too, because of the natural way that people want to make money, is you saw the crazy disparity between the rich and the poor.
Mm-hmm.
So these hedge fund leaders, one of them, in order to, so they needed to still interact with one another in order to, they kind of glazed over this, but I was like, that's a really key point. In order to still operate during COVID, right? Because or else you'd be remote. So what this one hedge fund did was they hired out an entire resort and they moved their office to the resort.
Okay.
Because legally, you're just like vacationing there, right?
Right.
But you rented all the rooms. You're still running your business like it's a business,
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, dude, how much money do you have that you just do this? And like the main CEO guy, he's like,
But I think one thing you have to
trying to-
remember is like,
yeah.
even though they're hedge funds, they have portfolios of like across the board of different things.
Yeah,
right.
totally.
It's not just your pension; it's your company's retirement savings things. Like it's all a part of that, right? It's not like just
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Yeah, and if you like mess with one, you're messing with all of them.
Yeah. It's like that's how it all
Because it's tied to your portfolio.
Yeah.
But with the income disparity is wild because you see these desperate people trying to like buy into GameStop because it shows like their net income and then people are like negative net income. Some people are like X net.
Sure.
Like they're showing their money before and after like the whole GameStop thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw that a lot of them were just desperate for like making like, let me just buy into GameStop so that I can pay off these loans. You know what I mean? Two people were students and they're like, they showed like their net income, which is like negative $100,000 because they had student loans. But then through GameStop at the end, they're like plus 200,000 because they made so much money off of this stock market thing. But when you contrast like the way people are living their lives, it's so trippy. And that is really how people are living their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't finish it. The hedge fund guy and the leader of the one that allegedly went bankrupt until he got the bailout. He was trying to build a tennis court in his house because he's like, I don't want to go visit a tennis court. It's COVID, so I'm gonna build one here. And it's like, bro, how much money do you have? But it makes you think. It's like, this is how the world is. You kind of have to. There's almost like ignorance. There's bliss in ignorance.